What is up, everybody? We are back in the CantinaMX Podcast. This is Albert Campa here with a crew today for the CantinaMX Podcast. We have, let's introduce first, I guess, Joel. How's it going, Joel?
Kibule Chiquis, I'm just right here, staying in right now,
Isolated?
avoiding the desmadre.
Oh, yeah. We only do online. We only do online scandal stuff, I guess. Not the real deal. So, yeah, thanks for coming on, Joel. And let's go to, I guess, your compadre up there in the north. Jaime, what is up?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Welcome. Got a lot of topics going. We also finally have Ron from the East Coast. A little bit late at night for Ron, but how you doing, Ron?
Good. Tired.
Yeah.
Just we're bunkered down and I kill time.
Yep. I guess you don't have to work in the cement. We got some cement news with Cruz Azul a little bit, but we'll talk about that later.
Mhm.
You're relieving your delicate hands from the cement, I guess.
Yeah. Got these, lady hands, I can't mess up anymore,
Can't be messing with that cement. It's toxic. All right. So, what shall we dive in first? We have actually a bunch of stuff going on. The thing that highlighted to me is the Juan Carlos Osorio statements. I don't know if you want to start with that. We can go into what he says, pretty much exposing the mentality of the Mexican soccer player. Were you guys able to listen to those statements?
Yeah, but honestly, I said it before and I'll say it again. I always thought that Osorio was always just too verbose. It's like sometimes he just, speaks just like because he wants to hear himself talk.
Yeah.
And, I don't. I just thought I thought it was BS because Brazil was not the defending champions in Germany. So I mean, the logic would say that we would lose, that we would have lost against Germany as well. And I just think that his comment about they were prepared. I mean, they weren't prepared, but I've been preparing myself for 30 years. It's like he's not an innovator. It's not like he's done anything great. Him to basically make himself out to be this be all know all. I honestly, to this day, I still want to know who the hell is the one that brought him in. I'm just like, and furthermore, it's like, who are the idiots that accepted this guy? Something should tell.
Baños.
No, but here something should tell you. Something should tell you that that the guy was basically given a huge platform, Mexico in the World Cup. The guy's, is thinking, okay, well, I'll use Mexico to go on to bigger and better things. Where's he at?
Yeah, he went back to
He
Colombia.
got fired from Paraguay, right?
No, he quit. But who knows? Because I mean, officially he quit, but it could have been mutual, where it's like, where if he says that you quit, then they don't have to pay you, like the contract. They don't have to pay off the rest of the contract. But I think there was
they rescinded his contract.
Yeah, there's a big part of the Paraguayan FA, I think, that was against him since day one. So I think he was like, eventually he's like, you know what, this is not gonna look good for me in the long run. And then because there was this dumb clause that supposedly they had where if Colombia called him, he could jump sides.
Uh-huh.
And so that was, the people weren't going to want to coach like that. There's no commitment there.
So
Go ahead.
let's take a step back, though, because the statement was, when we took on Brazil, I got all my players together and asked if they were ready to play against Brazil, and the answer was silence. So, I mean, is it because he lost the locker room because of the amount of substitutions he would change, or like he never used the same lineup twice? So do you think at that point he lost the locker room after the Sweden game?
I do think, and I'm glad you brought that up because there's a quote from Rafa Marquez, and which was after the World Cup, and he gave an interview for like a radio station, and he admits that before the World Cup, him and some of the, you could say like the leaders of the national team, they went to ask him to cool down on the rotaciones, and they told him to like. So I do think that, I don't know if he lost the locker room, but they certainly didn't believe in his philosophy, or like didn't believe in his like idea of how the team should play.
The crazy part is that it worked. I mean, Mexico had no trouble qualifying for the World Cup, and they never use the same lineup twice. And the day they do, they lose to Sweden.
But we did play. CONCACAF was pretty weak sauce.
Well, yeah, it's still weak, but
Like so I mean, the whole thing about, and the media was making a big deal about the undefeated streak and the
I mean, you still got to
first
win
time
those
beating
games.
Honduras in like 20
Yeah.
years, first time beating. And that's
Like,
exaggerated, but I mean, if you go back to Chepo's run, his first what is it, the one before the Hex,
the Gold
first
Cup?
round qualifier? No,
Oh.
he did. I think he did like 1 or 3 more points, and also was undefeated. So I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like they're making it seem like it was something that hadn't been done before or whatever. But I do think a big part of that was just to hype the team up. And I don't think that, like to me, where it counted was like the Copa America game, the Confederations. That's where I was seeing what it really had.
Where he was getting exposed because he was no longer playing lesser teams, you know? I mean, we all remember what happened in Santa Clara, California when they lost to Chile 7-1. They had no answers. And then in the Confederations Cup as well, it did not go that well. I mean,
Here, I got the quote, guys, if you wanna. So he did it to Radio Centro. He said it was a group decision, in which it was in order to have a better level and without making so many, I was gonna say transfer, any cambios, that we would maintain, you know, a solid squad. It was difficult to change the mentality and opinion, but at the end we had some results. So, they just weren't buying the whole changing of the lineup for every single match or from one game.
True, but here, the thing that bothers me the most was that his comment that it's like that he's been preparing to play against the world's best and all that type of stuff. And for me, I just think that is really a really pompous attitude to have, because if you look at his resume, and I'm looking at it, in 06, 07 Millonarios, Chicago Fire, from 07 to 09 New York Red Bulls, 2010 to 11 Once Caldas, which he did win over there. In Puebla, he didn't do very good. That was from 2011 to 2012, and then he was from 2012 to 15. He had Atlético Nacional, Sao Paulo for less than a year, and then Mexico. He had it for 3 years, and and really the place that got him more international recognition was Mexico. So it's not like he's faced he faced the world's best or stuff like that, coaching Once Caldas or this or that or the other. No, his exposure to Mexico is what basically catapulted him. It's not like this guy came in, like for example, I'll give it to Tata Martino. The guy has an impressive resume. He's coached some of the best.
Yeah,
He's just
he
trying
could
to.
have gone anywhere.
What's that?
He's just trying to, like, he's in desperation mode right now. He's like
He
in the
is.
lowest point, one of the lowest points of his career after not doing well in Mexico, which was supposed to be his springboard. It failed, obviously, and then he failed afterwards. And now he's sort of like trying to reach out for something. He's just trying to reach for a limb. But
Exactly, because I mean, and I'll say this, and I thought, I thought La Volpe, was, they, the press. I thought the press, although he had, obviously, La Volpe has a rocky relationship with the press, but the press that really matters in Mexico protected him. The ones that actually have influence protected him. What's his name? Osorio was also protected, and I would say more so than how the press protected what's his name, La Volpe.
And I think, well, I should ask, do you guys think it was a big reason was because press was the ones that pushed to have Piojo fired, because the only reason Piojo got fired was because of what happened with Martinoli, and then the press jumping on that because they figured if he gets away with that, then we're probably going to lose respect from a big portion of players and coaches.
There was definitely a conspiracy with the Piojo getting fired. But
oh, man. To see him getting attacked during Gold Cup after one of the best World Cup performances really confused me, man.
Piojo's ties to Televisa, right off the bat, if any coach comes or has a history with Televisa, there's going to be a certain faction of the press that are going to. It doesn't matter if you're playing well, if you win, nothing. They'll attack you just because of what you wear.
Yeah, well, La Puente, remember, Ron?
Yeah, obviously La Puente's.
Turned on him, and he's one of the best, and he had a good World Cup. He won a Confederations Cup, and they're attacking him over a Gold Cup, and I was like, what? That thing World Cup was in game. Like, who cares?
Back then, no one gave a shit.
Gold Cup.
I know no one cares about no one cared about Gold Cup back then. Like they just started attacking him because of it. But like Greg said, I mean, really the only criticism that Osorio was having, and it was valid, was his tactical
rotations
and stuff like that. Because the I guess conventional wisdom is if you have if you have players that are doing well in Europe and they're playing and they're excelling, I'm just using like let's say Layun, let's say that he's doing really well on the left side. If you're going to bring him in, play him where he's excelling, but don't try to reinvent the wheel. And I think that was a valid criticism. But and then press still protected him. They made him out to be some really intelligent, mastermind, and I thought that was a stretch.
I will push back a little bit though on the Piojo, like not doing well in a Gold Cup is, even his last games before getting fired were not very impressive. They weren't looking up for things for Mexico, so there was a sort of deportivo sense in Mexico wasn't doing well. And so
but you just come out of a World Cup. You're starting the cycle. You don't expect like that. You don't expect to just jump into a Gold Cup when you're starting a cycle and then, just waltz through it.
Yeah, I think
you're supposed to be replacing players.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, it's just. I mean, Mexico wants the immediate results. Like even after a World Cup, they want the immediate results, especially against CONCACAF teams. Osorio was lucky in that he had, I think it was just fortunate, and we've talked about it before. I think Jaime came on a lot when Osorio was on there, and we argued with Pern about it because Mexico or the CONCACAF was at its lowest level when Osorio was.
Yeah, it still is right now.
Yeah, it is.
U.S. is going up a little bit, I think, but
there's still nowhere where they've been at.
You have to watch out for the almighty Canada, guys.
Nah, dude.
So right now, Honduras, Costa Rica, U.S. There's not been really a tournament to gauge really where every team is at right now, and like everybody's kind of either in the rebuilding phase or just their current crop of players aren't really doing it.
Yeah, there's not that many from the other teams. Like before Honduras, they had like a couple players like in Serie A and in different leagues in Europe, and they just had really talented players. And
even Costa Rica is not the same country that it used to be.
Oh no, yeah.
You know, the
they
quarterfinal team. You know, they're not.
they
They're
peaked,
yeah.
and even
But
their team before that was pretty good.
yeah, but kind of to go back on track, you know, the players I know that they said that they would literally go to bed not knowing if they were going to start the next day, you know, game day. And I think that has a lot to do with like the team being silent after him asking that question about, you know, are you guys ready for Brazil? Because the way the you got to remember, the way we started the World Cup was a bang. We were on top. We beat Germany, we beat Korea, we had 6 points, and it's like, you know, Mexico's at an all-time high, you know what I mean? And then that game against Sweden just completely deflated the entire like country. Like everyone felt like a big, like that was like the biggest loss. Like I honestly felt that we were eliminated from the World Cup after that disgraceful game. So I feel like the players were silent because I don't know, maybe Osorio did them dirty. I don't know, maybe
I think yeah, they lost confidence in like we don't think you could,
yeah.
you're gonna.
He was praising him as a genius after they beat Germany. And even himself, I remember as soon as Chucky scored, they pan in on Osorio, and he's like hyperventilating, like he just couldn't believe it. And
Yeah,
But
yeah. I remember. Yeah, like I don't buy. Oh, I've been preparing myself. I don't think you
yeah,
prepare yourself to be hyperventilating. Like, yeah. But honestly, I honestly think that Osorio really messed up the tactics with and the time management with South Korea. I thought they should have really taken it more to South Korea, because that goal that Korea scored on Mexico came
Son,
back to hurt. What's that?
yeah, Son,
So
yeah,
so they should have, Mexico should have really taken it to South Korea uh on that, and like I said, I never really thought that Osorio, he- you know I honestly don't even think that that the players really were convinced. Although sometimes you hear them say, oh, we're with the profe, we're with this and that,
they
but
were
you
Yeah.
they
you
were
know that
kind of
that's
good.
just that's just a lot of publicity.
I
Now it's
remember,
not. It's
was it that one game where like if they won the game, they agree to shave his head? I feel like they were pretty tight with him, and I remember Chicharito speaking highly of him. He said like he was like the second best coach he's had, you know. So I'm like, the team. I think at one point the team was behind him, you know, like they weren't. It wasn't like the 2014 campaign where we literally had to go to repechaje to qualify for the World Cup. It was more of like they didn't have that pressure on them from the
wait,
media.
wasn't Cheech playing bad going into that World Cup?
Oh yeah, I mean he was at West Ham and he wasn't really
Yeah,
getting
that
like
he
much
wasn't even.
minutes. Yeah, but he was playing for Mexico. He was still like getting starts and he had became the top scorer of the national team. So for the national team he was coming through. But like I think like the campaign itself, like going qualifying into Russia was a lot easier for the team because a lot of these players went to that 2014 World Cup and they're trying to shake some skeletons. So I feel like the 2018 campaign it was a walkthrough to get in, and like the media was on their side. They had a coach that I had the team for, but I guess like once they got exposed against Sweden, that's when they realized that he was a fraud. And then he was also up to no good, wasn't he? Like cheating on his wife.
I don't know.
Yeah, he had side chick,
You had a
and he would
mistress.
send her like flowers like
What
almost
is
every
it?
day.
What is it with coaches like getting us to the World Cup and then just completely like shitting the bed, like La Volpe twice? Like, what is it about the World Cup? Like, do they just all right? We qualified. Everything that happens from here on out, it's whatever. I already got
You know
paid.
what? The guy that I thought actually overperformed as opposed to underperformed was actually La Puente, because going into, actually, Piojo and La Puente were probably the ones, because of how they went into the World Cup, how the team was before, and then how they just stepped it up during the World Cup. Uh, Obviously La Puente and Piojo, but I personally think that, and with what Osorio is saying, I think is that I understand that Brazil's better than Mexico, and I understand that they have a deeper roster. But one of the things that I do not agree with him is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Brazil's better than you or that they have, a deep. In a tournament, you can play percentages and you can win. You can play, if it was a league where you're playing them, when you're playing them 10 times in a year or whatever, they could beat you 9. But but in a cup tournament, in a knockout tournament, one game.
Yeah.
If you play percentages, if you're smart with your with time management, if you're smart with how you attack, when you defend, how you defend, stuff like that, you can play to your advantages. You don't have to be, you don't have to be some mastermind. And I always thought that that he tried to make the game a little bit more difficult.
He's a
Like I
try
said,
hard, man. He's a try hard.
like I said, dude, I guess I'm a la puentista to the bone, man. He tries to make the game simple, and La Puente would always say, there's 3 things in football: you attack, you defend, and you recoup.
It's interesting you bring that up. I was reading up on Menotti, and he's like in the same line of thought where he feels that, and it's funny because he was talking about the coaches that fill up notebooks full of full of, I would say, notes. and he said, like, I would pay to read those. I wonder what are they writing in, because he talks about just football being more simple than what some coaches make it seem to be. So he's saying no need to have like all these notes written down on every single thing. Yeah, football's not that difficult. And
should be. It really shouldn't be.
Yeah, so I've said this here before, but I'm gonna say it again. Just because Menotti's been one of those influential coaches. So he talks about what the coaches need to win over a team, and he said they need to generate an idea, and then they have to convince the squad that that's the idea that's gonna bring them success. Then they have to find players that are like, they will be willing to, that when the team faces adversity, that they're gonna stick with that idea. They're not gonna lose faith in it. And just going off of that, is reading Marquez quote, what Marquez said to Osorio before the World Cup, like, hey, we don't want to do this. I was like, man, they just, they didn't have much faith in what this guy, in his idea, in his whole rotación thing. And I do think, like, the whole Sweden thing, I do think that affected him, because then he probably didn't do what he thought was going to work best.
No one is just. I think you're right, Joel, because
it was a bad move.
Are you really going to convince, as a professional? Are you really going to buy into this crap? Tomorrow you may play the game of your life. Okay, but then the next game you're going to get sit out because of a rotación. No.
Yeah, that's.
You're not. Yeah. I'm sorry. That is just human nature. You're not gonna convince anybody to do that. And that's why I always thought that, in the interviews and stuff like that, I always just thought that it was just, cliche type of interviews. Oh yeah, estamos, we're with Profe all the way and blah blah blah. But no one's gonna believe and eat that crap.
You be on the bench. You come out with your real feelings. You're gonna be on the bench.
Well, and you know what? I think we were lucky because, I say Mexico was lucky because they faced the Germany team that they just weren't. I don't know what happened with that team.
Oh, we didn't know that at the time. We didn't know that at the time, because keep in mind they won the Confederations Cup. So I mean
they were, and they were talking about consistency, how long they had the coach, how long they've had all these good results, and someone was expecting that the World Cup. I don't know what happened, man. I'm
Well,
sure something
well,
must have happened. We'll probably find out years from now
well,
what
I
was
mean,
going on there.
here's the
it was the flu game.
here's the thing. Everybody thought, and I'll give Mexico credit for beating Germany because at the time we didn't know that it was starting to be the downfall of them, right? Because going into there, dude, everybody thought that they were the Lamborghini, but soon as the tournament started, it's like, oh shit, it really is. It's just a Honda Civic with car part, with like a kit system made that to look like a Lamborghini. You know what I mean?
It's a Suru, man, a Suru.
Yeah,
A
they
Subaru,
did
yeah.
not they did not win, right? They didn't win a single game.
No,
They beat no, Germany beat Sweden, right?
yeah, yes, they did.
Yeah,
In the
that was
last
tough result.
It was a little too late.
No, they beat they that was the whole reason why Mexico didn't qualify immediately after winning the two first games is because they lost to well, we beat them, but then they ended up winning against
Sweden.
But
Sweden.
then they lost to Korea, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we were going to the last game still not qualified because Germany could have beaten Korea and then we would have, been knocked out.
So let me just
So yeah.
let me just like give a. I don't know if you guys want to continue or have other takes on JCO, but I just want to like my
I'm done with.
my final
we-
comment
Yeah.
on him is he's pretty much just he's irrelevant and has been for a while, and he wants to jump back on the scene. And now with this whole COVID and isolation and stuff, everyone's getting on these calls, these interviews, and with these Zoom
I like
interviews.
just finding, yeah.
And so he got his opportunity,
He's
and
getting
then
his clout.
yeah, and so he's trying to take advantage. He's trying to jump back on the scene, and it's not going to work. So yeah,
we
that's
got
JCO.
better we got we got some hot topics.
So let's jump into this next one because I want to hear what you. It sounds like you have some takes on the Mexican national team going or not going to the United States. Do you know what's going on there?
So they
Jaime?
announced that because of COVID, the states aren't going to allow fans into the stadiums. So Mexico said, well, guess what? We're not going to tour there anymore. So it's really funny because can you think of another national team that plays more games outside their country than Mexico?
Oh yeah, there is none.
Like, we're the only country in the game that has more games in the like outside of their own country. So it's like for this whole time they've been pandering to the pochos and all the Mexicanos that are here in the United States. But the second they find out that there's no money, they're like, you know what? Let's just go back to Mexico.
Well, yeah, but I mean it makes sense. I mean in Mex, what they have to sell like $5 tickets, which selección games now they're about $30 maybe the cheapest.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't understand. It's not like they're gonna
Okay.
allow them to play in Mexico with fans. It's the same situation.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they probably wouldn't play there either. Then, I
It's
mean,
ju-
or
it-
if it's closed doors, it's just easier for them to host the game there if it's gonna be a puerta cerrada than
Yeah.
to travel the way over here. So I mean, it's
But it
it's
does
all about
expose
making
them.
money though, man.
Yeah.
It's good.
It does expose them. It exposes John De Luisa and the whole FMF exactly what they wanted. They want the United States for. The United States is only here, and the travel to the United States for the national team is only there for the money. If there is no money and there's no people paying tickets, then they're not going to go. They're not going to bring it. They can just play in Mexico, and just
Well, I mean, I think he was a bit premature because I know there's some teams that you could easily get like a friendly with because let's say they already had a game schedule. Like let's say like Florida is usually like a good point. Like if a European team probably has to play a few games, they could go to like Florida and play like a South American team, and then from there it's easier to jump off and play another, without traveling so much. Um, So I think in that sense, they they spoke a little bit, like because if you could have gotten a match here in the U.S. with a top team because they were already coming to the U.S., then I think that's you know
It's like
you'll be
the best
missing out on that.
the best way to describe it is like you got this chick, right? And she's like basically like mooching off you, and the only reason she's with you is because you have money. The second she finds out you don't have any money, bye. You know,
Oh man.
I agree with that. That's exactly how this
But
is.
but what they were trying to say is like if we can't play for the fans, then there's no need to play. So I think he was trying to like make it seem that the team,
there was a, I think there was a friendly that we're supposed to have like this week, but obviously right now it's all canceled. But I don't know, man. I just think it's like okay, no money, bye.
Yeah, that's how it is. So I didn't
We gotta
expect
talk
that.
about Morelia moving to Mazatlan. What's going on?
I think that just highlights something we've mentioned here before, and that's the lack of investors in Liga MX. There's just not that many companies willing to put that much money into uh, football. And so one of the things where clubs are benefiting is if they're getting kickbacks from the state. So this is the state of Sinaloa, and I don't know what they promised. I know they built a stadium. They're probably gonna give land for the training and whatnot, you know. But I do think that that's one of the big reasons there
But why
because
Morelia? Why Monarcas?
well,
They
because
they've been there for
Monarcas
so long.
was owned, but yeah, but they're owned by TV Azteca, and TV Azteca wasn't pumping any money.
They're broke boys.
I don't know what the situation is, but it's been obvious they weren't investing heavily. So I don't, you know,
I
that's the
think
thing that was.
it's crazy because it really got me thinking. Because my team, the Oakland Raiders, moved to Vegas, so I know how this feels. But then I realized this does not happen in the world of football because it's not like you can have a franchise and just move it. Like it just doesn't happen and when I say football, I mean soccer. I mean football. You don't ever see. It's not like you can take Manchester United away from Manchester. You can't move them to a different city. Like, how do you do that? How do you do that? The only time I've ever seen this happen is in the MLS when San Jose Earthquakes moved to Houston. But that makes sense because it's America and it's like, franchise.
But,
But you
but
don't
Liga
see
MX
that
has,
in.
has done it
Atlante,
before.
Atlante.
Yeah,
Used to be in Mexico
yeah,
Well,
City.
yeah,
It's
Necaxa
actually
too.
happened. It's happened in NBA, NFL, MLB,
No, yeah, but
NHL.
I'm talking about like football, like the world of football. I'm not talking about American sports because that
Yeah,
happens.
well, that's because most of those clubs were always tied to the city, so they had like strong
Not,
ties.
not to the city, to their community.
Yeah.
There you
But
go. Yeah,
but thing about it is even there were even changes back then. Like if, for example, two teams joining or leaving, and stuff like that. So I mean, it has happened, uh, and stuff like that.
It's happened in
Uh,
Mexico, but I don't think that's ever happened in like England, in Argentina, and like all over the world. It has not happened. You don't see a team just get up and move because of money. That's just so weird, man. This guy's got Sprint next to. What's going on, man?
that
Yo, man, bringing back the early 2000s.
what's up? That for me?
I don't know. I heard a Sprint Nextel ringtone.
Verizon.
Oh.
Sprint.
I think it's a shame, man. I mean, and it's hard for me not to make the assumption that there's dirty money involved because Mazatlan, it's Sinaloa, they're known for, narcos and stuff. Where the hell do they get this money to build a stadium and have all this money to move a team that's been in Morelia for what, 70 years?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The video that got me in the feels was this old dude. He was in his car, I think, at the protest or whatever they're doing, and he was crying, man. He was sad, sad at the
What's that?
possibility. He was sad at the possibility of losing Morelia, of losing the
Well, I
Monarcas
think
team.
it's a done deal, man. What's at
Well, yeah.
Well, it's
this
So
point, I
funny.
think it is a done deal,
You know
and
what's
it's been a
interesting?
done deal.
The tweets, the first tweet from FC Mazatlan, it was tweeted like a week ago, and they already had a photo of the stadium and Delfines. They already have a mascot, and now it's been taken down. So I don't know if maybe they're still trying to negotiate. They've seen some of the pushback from the fans, but
Well, I heard the guy saying that Delfines was not going to be the name of the team.
oh, okay.
So
mm,
but I think since the stadium was being built, I think this whole negotiation had already been dealt with, you know,
Why not? Why
because
not do that to Veracruz? Turn the Sharks into Dolphins, or what I mean? Why not do it for a franchise that is struggling? Morelia, they actually had a pretty good resurgence in the last couple of liguillas.
no, well, it depends the owner. So again, I'm gonna go with what I said with how the investors like in Mex, you don't have that many companies right now that are willing to like Bimbo. They invested, but only as sponsors. They don't want to own a team. And then you have like other big companies like Comex. So there's very few. Two of the biggest being FEMSA and Cemex, who
I don't have a problem with a new team buying their way into the first division. I have no issue with that. The issue I have is taking an existing team's spot. Why not just add the 20 to the team, because that's what the Liga MX has been trying to get the league to get to, is 20 teams. Why not just start a new franchise? Why would you do that to Morelia? Why would you do that to the fans? Do you really think that they're gonna support this team? Hell no, they're not gonna support the team. There's no way, man. There's no way they're gonna just take it up the ass and say, "Yeah, we're gonna support them now." We're gonna trade in our jerseys for Dolphins. Like, no, there's no way. There's no way these fans are gonna continue to support this franchise. I don't. I just think it was a complete, just terrible. Why not take, like I said, either a franchise that was like dying, or just buy your way into the first division? But the way they did it is terrible, man. It's really tragic.
well that's because the team was gonna disappear regardless. But see, I'm gonna go back to the whole thing where so Pachuca is one of the good examples where the state has helped the Tuzos and they just has helped the team save a lot of money and make a lot of money. And I think that's similar deal with what's gonna happen with Sinaloa. And so that's was like right with it. It's just more way to make money here.
Just don't see Sinaloa being I just don't see Sinaloa, or Mazatlan being a better location. Oh,
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I,
remains to be
I,
seen how that works out, because Morelia, I mean, if nobody wanted to take over that team, that's the pretty sad part right there, where it's like Morelia, yeah, one of the historic teams, but nobody wanted it.
I wonder if Morelia will try to
I
start a
mean,
new
Leon,
team.
dude, Leon, that's another team that like it was bought for peanuts. I think for like $4 or $5 million. And that's another historic team, historic venue, and nobody wanted that club. I mean, they're owned by Grupo Pachuca. Like what? You know, they should be their own. They should have their own owners and everything. But that's just not the case. So I know that way there's a lot of pushback from Mex fans about the whole joining with MLS, and I get it. But at the same time, it's like there's just no money coming in right now into the league from
Yeah.
nobody wants to invest like, as far as the investors that are already there, no one else wants to put money into that. I mean, even Chivas, the way they were bought, that's like, it's kind of embarrassing, being bought by the OmniLife. And he didn't even have to pay him full, man. He just gave them like what a percentage.
It is
It
crazy.
just seems like, I mean, I'm looking at the I mean, I'm not really familiar with the state of Sinaloa, but I am familiar with the state of Michoacan, and I've driven there, passed through there, and stuff like that, and I'm just like looking at it in terms of the cities around Michoacan and the cities around Sinaloa, and just Michoacan being closer to the interior regions, closer to Guanajuato and state of Mexico and all that type of stuff. It just doesn't make sense.
Tourism wise, though,
What's that?
it's a beach town, no?
Yeah, but
Mazatlan.
man, the thing about it is, there's no other team in Morelia. You know what I mean? There's no other team in that state. It's not like Sinaloa where they have Dorados. So they
Michoacan.
literally took, Michoacan. Sorry, yeah, it's like
that was for Joel. He said Mazatlan, I think.
oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
what was
crazy
it?
though.
Wait, what was it, Chiquis?
Michoacan.
Michoacan?
Yeah, Morelia,
What?
Michoacan.
No, I'm
It's
talking about the where the team is moving to.
Mazatlan.
Sinaloa.
Yeah,
I always
yeah,
thought that
that's
was
their new.
I always thought that was like a desert, like just bare desert.
No,
Like what's over there?
no, Mazatlan is it's on the coast.
It is.
Um,
I mean, they're known for their baseball. I mean, they have baseball over there.
Los
yeah,
mochis.
that was another thing. Is like Sinaloa is there? It's baseball's more popular there.
Did you remember that movie with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx? Was it Collateral?
Oh, that's a good movie.
Where it's
That's a
like
good
when
movie.
they go to the jazz, they go into the jazz bar, and the jazz bar owner is just telling the story about Miles Davis, and then Tom Cruise. Oh, that's such a good story. I'm gonna have to tell the guy. I'm gonna have to tell the guys from Sinaloa that. The guy's like, oh shit. I was thinking that's probably how that went down. With the owner of Grupo Salinas. That was such a great story, Carlos Salinas. I have to tell the guys Sinaloa that story. Oh shit!
I'll,
All
I'll
right,
get.
all right. I'll move the team to Mazatlan. Oh,
Been around, man. He's
yeah,
with
Uh,
Stallone references.
but no, like I said, well, I mean, hopefully it works out. For Mazatlan, but like I said, dude, Michoacan, Morelia is established, dude. It's an established,
yeah,
Hey,
they have like
Ron,
huge.
so was Leon, man.
They
So
have a
was
huge
Leon.
following though.
I have no problems with Leon. I have no problems with Leon, dude. They have
No,
they have it.
no. But we saw what happened once their coffers dried up. They fell to second division. There's,
Yeah,
it just
no,
went really bad, and I think that would have happened to Morelia, like if had TV Azteca not put whatever little money they did. I do think that team would have eventually just fallen to the wayside and then just been like
but they
another
were
second division.
a playoff team.
Yeah,
No,
but
I
then
know they were.
but they I just realized they were selling their top players too. Ruiz.
Yeah,
Either-
yeah.
So I mean, it goes to show like they were probably broke boys.
Oh no, actually,
been, man.
actually they've been moving. What's his name? The dude from Peru. What's his name? The guy that you just mentioned. What's his name?
Ruiz.
Ruiz? Oh,
I mean, he basically said that. Look, hey, Mexico was fine if you're single and stuff like that, but with the family, it's like it's a different story. And obviously, I mean, this podcast isn't really made for talking about those issues, but Mexico's got to clean up its act in the appearance of safety and stability. And I hate to say it, but certain areas, Michoacan being one of them, Sinaloa being one of them, things get dangerous, man.
They do get dangerous.
Gignac seems to have a good family life. I think
that's
this.
Monterrey, though.
But I think I think that's because of his Romani, gypsy type of lifestyle. It's like he's cool. He's kind of like a pikey, he's used to it.
He's basically Mexican.
Well,
Um,
you guys are making me think that this Liga MX is like almost about to go bankrupt, man. Like the way Joel is talking about going to MLS, that needing some support from MLS, all these movements of teams, that there's not enough money, they're not making good cash. Like,
Chiquis,
how has this league lasted so long? Is this league almost about to come to a very
It's
end
no,
because of?
it's still a very very good and lucrative league. The thing about it is it's not designed to have, you know, 30 teams right now.
yeah,
It's just
30 or 20. But no, look, and I don't mean to sound doom and gloom, but if you look at, I'll say 90% of the teams, they don't even have their original owners.
oh, none of them
Nobody
anymore.
does. And then
Nobody.
look at you, as they're supposed, they were supposed to be like what?
Cruz Azul is actually the only one, the last one.
Yeah, and that's our next topic because they're having there's some stuff going on there.
Oh
And
boy.
of course,
No,
those money again.
it's not the owners, it's the executives.
The cooperativa or
Yeah, it's the executives. In fact, Rafael Huesca from Esto actually he pointed that out in a tweet that it's not. No, it's not the ownership.
it's not the
Because
ownership.
because I'll try to find the tweet, but basically what he was saying was that it's not the corporate, it's not the cement company itself.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me try to find it.
Let me just finish my
What?
hot
Go ahead.
take.
All right, go ahead.
Look at Chivas. They're supposed to be like a popular team. They were leased. Man, for 10 years. I think it was only 9, but the contract was 10 years to La Promotora. That means that, they were like rented out because the owners didn't have money. Rented out. Promotora was like, we're losing money too. And so eventually Vergara came in and bought the team. And he's had it, less than 20 years? What were we hearing like a few years back that Slim was going to buy it? And that's still a possibility of other owners coming in. And that's Chivas. I mean, I talked about and we talk about León, one of the historic teams, one of the most winning teams, and they were in second division for a long time. Nobody was trying to buy that team. Now they're owned by Grupo Pachuca. That's like Atlético Madrid being owned by Real Madrid. I was like, what?
Sorry to interrupt. I just posted it in the chat, in the Discord chat.
Yeah.
Tweet, so you can read it.
Yeah.
Keep on. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, just so you could go like that team by team, and it's like at one point or another they've changed owner like multiple times, and then sometimes you get lucky, like the way I think Santos got lucky. Grupo Orlegui has done a great job, but Grupo Orlegui weren't original owners. And then with like Tigres and Monterrey, I think they lucked out having these big corporations, FEMSA and CEMEX, come in, and they're like, okay, we're gonna create like subsidiaries to like run the clubs. But I think and I was hoping like, okay, maybe we'll see that with like CEMEX or Bimbo, but it never happened, or it hasn't happened.
Hey, this contradicts this article from FMF State of Mind contradicts that. They're saying that Billy Alvarez and his brothers, their accounts have been frozen, and they're being investigated by the Mexican authorities for suspicion of money laundering to organized crimes. So that would mean
that contradict?
But did they
that it was the owners.
No, they're not the owners. Cruz Azul is owned by La Cooperativa, and Billy and them, they're like not the owners, because you can't own it. They just have the higher positions.
It says the investigation has been brought to the cement executives after 1.2 billion Mexican pesos were detected moving irregularly between countries. And it says that it's unclear whether or not the team is involved in the case.
That, you know what, that information was, they talked about that information last year. Right, right when right when all that, the stuff was going on with Pelais and
Yeah,
stuff like that, that
yeah,
information came about. So I honestly, and keep in mind the struggles with Cruz Azul's, like, owners. I mean, they've one of the Alvarez brothers shot one of the other Alvarez, had somebody, remember, like when there were shots, they were shooting someone's house. Like, I guess they have these really internal fights, man, amongst them. They're fighting like albañiles, man, on a job site sometimes.
Okay, so this is wrong then, man. So this dude, Antonio
Well, I think
Tinajero,
I think that
he
article. I think he's just probably just translating, a
the
report
the
from.
well, no,
Corporativa.
he's saying that the Cooperativa is the owner, but so is Alvarez and
No. Corporativa is owner of Cruz Azul, but
and they're the
the
Directiva.
Alvarez, the billion, they don't
Okay.
own. They don't own.
They're-
They cannot own the Corporativa. It's like it's it's owned by the whole group, not just. But those guys, they sort of like they have the highest spot, so they make the shots. They call the shots there. But if they're the ones that are being crooked, unless it's like Corporativa wide. But I think it's just those two guys that have been,
Yeah, they're the ones that got
it's similar to with you had it at Chivas with Angelica that was stealing money from OmniLife.
So in Mexico, it's almost the same thing as like the way it's structured, where it's democratically controlled by its members. Even within any organization, there's always going to be an executive board of sorts. So basically, the Alvarez, they just must, in fact, Alvarez is the Garces and the Alvarez, their families go way back into this, co-op business, So it's like they have a lot of pull within their own structure. But like Joel is saying, is that you cannot own it. It's not like, guys, tough shit, I'm selling, you guys get nothing. It doesn't work that. It's illegal, Hello?
Nonetheless, it does look bad. I mean, look at what happened to Rafa Marquez, you know what I mean? Like, he had that asterisk next to his name because he was his money was involved with narco ties, and he's not allowed to come back to the United States, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if, it's whatever, it may or may not be true or not, it definitely does look bad for the team. And, obviously, right now, all these sports outlets are struggling for content, you know what I mean? So, of course, they're going to take this and blow it out of proportion and go like the DJ. I got some hot fire for you, some sizzle news, but I'm sure this will blow over. But it's just
people forget, but like la promotora, so la promotora that ran Chivas, and that guy was embezzling funds, because he had ties with Pemex, and then all of that was just a hot mess. You could Google search anyone if you want to have a interesting read on that. And so that was a big reason why they ended up just giving up the Chivas, and even before they gave up Chivas, where they started selling a lot of these known players. And then with Monterrey, you had their previous owner, Jorge Lancambeu, and he also had ties with laundering money for a cartel, and they were tied to a bank. I don't know if it was Citibank. And so that guy. So yeah, we've seen that a lot. So I mean, that's why I'm not surprised when they talk about creating this like joint league, which I don't think it would be like a traditional league, it'd be more like a cup. But I do think that tournament would probably take more importance than the regular league.
I don't think it's ever gonna happen as far as the joint league. It's not gonna happen. But
joint league, it's more not like a league where you play.
It's too many teams in the travel.
No, but it'll be more like a cup, like a Champions League.
I could see a cup, like like a FA Cup type of thing, like a domestic
No,
cup.
yeah, I don't think FIFA would allow like a joint league, but
Yeah.
you don't have to be. You could just be like a,
I mean, we were supposed to get the MLS versus Liga MX All-Star game, and I was looking forward to that, but we're not gonna have it, at least not for
COVID.
now.
No
Um,
COVID.
yeah. Did any of you guys catch the Chicharito interview he did with Rio Ferdinand?
I did. I just one piece of it only. When
Oh, okay.
Ferdinand is asking him about his off the ball movement in a goal
Yeah.
against I don't know what team it was.
I give a lot of props to Rio because he's always been a big supporter of Chicha, even when he left Man United. And he's like, I told you this guy's good. He's good. He's good. But he really talked about how much of an impact Sir Alex Ferguson had on his career. And then he also talked about how terrible Moyes was. And he's not the first Mexican to say how bad Moyes was as a coach. So it really doesn't surprise me. But man, that guy was terrible. He basically split up the entire team, and he said how frustrated he was with that. He ended up going to Real Madrid anyways, but um he also said that the best players he played with were at Madrid. He mentioned Modric, he mentioned Ronaldo, he mentioned Sergio Ramos and De Gea. And out of Man United, the only two players that he named was Rooney and Michael Carrick.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
He, yeah. You know one thing Moyes did was when he came in, he replaced all the coaching staff, and I
Yeah.
do think that was part of their down. I wouldn't have done it if you have like a successful organization. I'm not gonna come and then just boot everyone out.
It was it Quiros was like Ferguson's right hand man for like years, and he decided to just clean house.
It's his birthday today, eh? El
Today's his
Chicharito.
birthday.
Whose
Happy
birthday?
birthday,
El Chicharito.
Whose birthday? Oh,
Chicharito.
Chicha.
He's turning what 33, 32? How old is he?
Two.
Yeah, he's old, man. Getting up there. Oh, that's why he's in MLS.
Is he still doing Naked Humans?
Yeah. He's a
32
boomer.
he's still prime age, man. I don't. Thierry Henry, Luis Suarez, like these fools were bagging goals still at 30. 32 is still prime, man. I think like 30, like anywhere from like your late 20s to like early 30s, like your prime.
Well, if you stay in shape,
I mean, look
it
at
depends the
Ronaldo.
player. It depends the player.
How old Ronaldo? He's 35.
But that guy, he's like a
CR7.
freak. Yeah, he's a freak
Oh,
specimen, dude.
he's
That
a
guy.
freak of nature, yeah.
It's funny hearing other players talk about how like when they go into his house, it's like what was that? I forget who the player was. It's like he invited him to eat, and it was just basically chicken, but that's it, nothing on it.
Oh no. It was like one of those Oprah moments where like Oprah tried someone's chicken. Oh, what'd you season it with? Oh, I didn't season it.
No, it's like nothing. He's like everything is just from farm to plate. I mean, the guy takes his training and his diet really serious. And good for him.
That's the
Because
kind
I
of
mean, honestly, dude, to maintain that in elite in this day and age for 15 years is remarkable.
Yeah,
that's what I will say about the Osorio's comments. He talks about the mentality of the Mexican player. I'll sort of agree and criticize the mentality of the Mexican player when you see players like Ronaldo and even other players that make it to Europe from other countries like Brazil and Argentina. The Mexican player, I think, is too pampered, too spoiled with Liga MX, and then they expect things to be easy, or not to be easy, but to be there, available for them to go to Europe, like Pizarro and Pulido and all these guys, when they're just not good enough. They don't have the mentality. And then Chicharito doesn't have the mentality, or he did at first, and then it sort of faded as he comes back to more easier
But I
playing
think they
fields.
just you make all this money where it's like some of that stuff, then you don't just care about it that much
But here's the thing: if
because
Ronaldo makes so much money though.
well, real quick, Ron, because
go
even
ahead, go
with
ahead.
South Americans that you see, Brazilians, Argentines, a lot of times even if they made it to Spain, just because they're in Spain or in Italy, they're still not making that much more money. Not the average player, if you're playing in one of the mid table to bottom teams, they don't make that much money, so they have to stay hungry to land that good contract or get in that big team. And so I think Liga MX pays well enough that a lot of players, once they get that one good contract, that's it.
They coast. They coast.
Motivation seems to go out the window, man.
Yeah, and that's the mentality level, man. Because Ronaldo makes a ton of money. That dude's got like a very
He's one
nice
of the
house, all
highest paid
kinds of
players or athletes in the world.
yeah, and he'll be working out and doing all kinds of stuff at
Yeah.
home to be in top shape. That dude's a
But keep in mind that you're only just seeing what he posts. I mean, it's like for all he could just be doing it for show and stuff like that. But like I said, the guy just he just maintains. He works and he maintains. But
dude.
keep in mind, dude. Like you can't really say that things. Criticize a player like Pulido or these guys saying, "Oh, that the fame got to him." Well, the same is said, with Messi. The same is said with Cristiano and stuff like that.
Well, whenever I know I see a little bit of drool whenever he takes off his shirt and does his "see goal celebration. I know you'd be looking at them abs. See that's the proof right there. That's the proof that he works. That's the proof that it's not just an Instagram picture of him like flexing his quads and stuff. He does it on the field. And Messi's the same way. You don't see Messi posting all these Instagram pics, but that dude is short, but he has that solid leg and that solid base to do what he does. I mean, Pulido looks like he works. He posts all those pictures as well. His results just aren't, spectacular on the pitch.
Wait, he was leading goal scorer, Chiquis. Liga MX top goal scorer.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a fortunate type of guy. He's sort of like the the point guy for Chivas. He had the opportunities. I won't say they're all tap ins because there were some good goals, but yeah, he was in the prime position to score those goals.
I had a really fun fact for you guys. There's only 5 active footballers that have the opportunity to get to 5 World Cups. Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Sergio Ramos, Andrés Guardado, and Guillermo Ochoa.
What was that? To get to 5
World Cups.
5 World Cups.
And knowing Mexico, they'll probably end up going to that World Cup because I don't see anybody stepping up for
Ochoa, yes.
Guardado,
Yeah, we talked about Ochoa before. I don't know about Guardado.
I think Guardado would go kind of like the way Rafa did, just as like, the old guy with experience and, leadership.
Well, I don't know, man. Tata likes the youth, and I don't think that's the thing of a coach like Tata, where I don't think you could punk him into, I don't think he's gonna get punked into putting in players.
I saw in other news the Club America was tested for corona. 49 results were negative. There's a total of 54. So there's America.
Who did they Club America?
Yeah, they
stayed indoors. They quarantined.
Yeah, they quarantined.
Properly.
They weren't out partying like Santos players and stuff.
They had the curb service for escorts.
Because they live in better neighborhoods. That's why,
In Mexico City, better neighborhoods than in Torreon.
Chivas had reported one player, and then they said they weren't going to name him. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on too much with the goats. I do know that they had the pictures of trophies partying.
Oh, I was reminded of
Trophies.
I was reminded of John. The memories.
Speaking about Chivas, Beltran has been an ace for us in the E Liga MX, and we beat our rivals America in the Super Clásico 3-1. Then we ended up being Necaxa 5-1, and then Santos Laguna 3-1. So
Wait,
Beltran,
Jaime,
hmm,
for those of us not in the know, what exactly is this E-Liga? Is it organized by EA Sports?
it's
I know that all the Liga MX teams are playing the FIFA
FIFA
2020
20.
game, right?
Yeah, because uh, FIFA owns the licensing to Liga MX, and they basically just said, hey, you know what? Since you guys can't play real soccer, let's just do this E Liga, and you take some of your professional players and you play against other professional players. And um, right now it's actually Pachuca who's in first place. So I wonder if they'll give them a trophy at the end of
And
give them a star and a trophy.
and the games are streamed, right?
The games are streamed on Chivas TV for the Chivas games. As far as the rest of the league, I have no idea. There really hasn't been much coverage, to be honest.
The on the website, the Tabla General only shows 1 through 8. So I guess the other teams. At first I thought, man, there are only 8 teams
Oh no, I can.
participating.
Here, I'll send you the link right now.
I was like, do these
it's-
other teams not have PlayStation or something?
I've seen,
No, no,
I've
no.
seen
That was a
I've seen
screenshot.
like this
Yeah.
results and stuff, but I think
Oh, I see the rest
what
of
they
them.
needed to boost this would have been some shit talk, because
Yeah.
those
I
guys are on the
agree.
mic. So if you would have heard them talking smack to each other,
Yeah,
I think
they need to hop on Discord and they need to talk shit to each other as they're
I think
playing.
I
and
only
then
saw. I only saw.
I would watch. I don't want to see some dude just
No,
making a
Imagine,
funny face because he missed a goal. I
dude,
want to hear it.
I would
I want
watch
to hear the
like,
shit talking.
dude, I
I
would
want it
watch
to be like the league.
like
Ron,
Gignag.
remember the show, The League?
With
I would
Taco.
that would.
I would pay to see what's his name? Boyo versus Giovanni. Hey man,
Hey,
sorry about your thigh, bro.
oh, dude, that would go against
Ouch.
the. That would go against the saying. What is it? Um, lo que se habla en la cancha se queda en la cancha. Tres por chismoso. What? Yeah, you don't want them to
What?
go too off on their harsh words and
Yeah.
their trash talk, man.
It's just
Sensitivities, well.
What stays
it's
on the
just weird.
what happens on the field and what's said on the field stays on the
Yeah,
field.
but this is a video game. It's just,
Yeah, it's a
I know
video.
you don't want them to
like anybody that plays
you don't want them to slip the tongue.
online, you know that that's a big part of the online playing,
Oh yeah.
the smack talk, man.
That's kind of like the reason why it's so fun is because you get to talk shit online. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It turns like a regular friendly into like, oh, you know what? Now I really want to beat you. And I don't know. I really haven't been paying attention too much. I just, little tweets every now and then when it's game day and
I haven't seen anything at all. The first week I saw one matchup between two players, and it was sort of boring. I thought they were able to talk to each other,
I don't know.
but
I don't know how they
I
would
might be
be able
mistaken.
to do it. Um
Yeah. But yeah, I do agree. Like in the world of gaming, like if you know who Ninja is, that dude was playing what's it I forget what the name of the game is, but he like the famous clip of him was like cussing out this one kid who died to him, but then like yelled at him, and then Ninja just got all crazy, man. He just raged at the kid,
oh wow.
and the fame what he said is just like it's still repeated to this day. It's sort of hilarious. So that's the
Oh, there's one thing that I forgot to bring up. Kasim Richards, he's a player that used to play for Veracruz. He said that he hasn't been paid since March 2018. He says, we haven't been paid since March 2018, and then we won our case in October and still haven't been paid. This league wants to be taken serious, but things like this going on, some players hadn't worked since the end of last season. Ridiculous. And he was replying to somebody else that was complaining about not getting paid. Rodrigo Lopez. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs in Veracruz.
Just don't play for Veracruz. I heard Sevilla's trying to throw some
To buy them.
to buy them.
Yeah, that's an outside investor. So similar to what happened with San Luis, and I think San Luis is they also have a thing going on with the state, right?
Atleti.
No, yeah, they have Athletic, but I think the state of San Luis is also like involved, like part owners or.
Oh, I have no idea. Why don't they just do what the Premier League does? The Premier League has nothing but foreign investors.
Yeah, but their TV, it all went through TV deals. So I mean, that's another thing of having like a Liga MX MLS Champions League, where if the ratings are high, and you're getting really good ratings and really good games, then that will eventually open the doors for more investors. But right now the money's over here in the U.S. TV and sponsors.
Yeah. It's crazy because Manchester City was not even they were never a big club. And then they got some oil money that came in, and all of a sudden they became such a big club in Manchester. But I guess the reason why we haven't seen much foreign investment is because Mexico is so corrupt and.
Yeah, pretty much. See, so no, I looked it up. So yeah, so Atletico Madrid owns 50% ownership of the club, along with the state of San Luis.
Damn.
So the state of San Luis put money, and because I guess they saw what was going on with Pachuca, where they have some stake in the Tuzos, and so that's kind of what Mazatlan's gonna happen, with the state of Mazatlan and Morelia buying the team, which I mean I don't know if the state of Morelia could have stepped up and been like, all right, we'll build you guys a stadium or whatnot, huh?
The problem with the government, the state owning that much into the club, is that change of leadership means change of power and plan, and time it's happened. It actually has happened numerous times in the history of Liga MX. Like for example, with Atlante, what's his name, Veracruz, Jaguares with Veracruz and stuff like that. Where the government, the state government, they take an active role into the operation and the administration of the club, and they're able to bring some financing and some life to the franchise and to the city and stuff like that. When the results don't come, funding dries up quick, and those clubs suffer. Where's Veracruz now? Where's Chiapas now? Where's Atlante now?
Yeah, that's.
I just think that is his name. The owners of Mazatlan can't really depend on Sinaloa, on the government. And granted, yeah, they can do some of the things that Grupo Pachuca was able to do, was get sweetheart deals, and tax breaks and stuff like that. Most of the funding is going to have to be privately owned, and when you have that amount of the amount of ownership, I just think that's a recipe for disaster. It's on past experiences.
Hey, going back to our other topic.
What happens? We'll see if they were supposed to make an announcement this week about what the hell's going to happen with Morelia. So
Tom says tomorrow. Yeah. It could be confirmed.
Yeah, we saw the tweet at the same time.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I just saw it right now.
Yeah, I just saw it too.
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive the amount of like fans that showed up these last couple of days in Michoacan from Morelia and just supporting the club and
Yeah, it's cool.
doing. It's like wow, man. And I remember last year when I went to cover a game, Chivas Morelia in Sacramento. The stadium was 50-50, man. Like there's a lot of fans in Michoacan. They showed up and it was impressive, man. Like they definitely have a huge fan base.
Hey, going back, you know who had to stick his nose into this whole Osorio business was the other ego, Ricardo Lavolpe. He said that his process was better than Juan Carlos Osorio's, and that JCO didn't leave nothing to Mexican football. So he had to
He's right. He's absolutely right.
yeah, I agree. He had to come in and bring in his 2 cents though. That was pretty funny.
Oh, but he's I don't think he's saying it to be because he's salty and stuff like that. It's whether I know that La Volpe is a very polarizing figure and stuff like that, but like him or not, he was and the players this day die on it and speak on it. His ideas, he was able to transmit his ideas onto his team. Like it or not, stuff like that. Deny him that.
Yeah.
And like I said, no one, now no one talks about rotaciones. They think it's just a joke of what he does, dude. Well, I mean, what did he really bring? Nothing. No.
Yep.
For the level, the what's his name, the Lida La Volpiana and playing from the back and stuff like that, dude. People talk about that and people still play it like that, Like La Volpe knows that he's not the first one to do it. He was the one that really tried to just organize it a little better.
We also had players of means that could, be like the wing back, I mean, we had Carlos Salcido in his prime, and he was perfect for that type of formation. You can't
Honestly,
really
if La Volpe had the crew now, the crop of players that we have now, back then in Osorio, I honestly think I thought he,
we don't have the defense that La Volpe had, though, man. I would say that defense is probably the weakest point for the Mexican national team right now.
in terms of forwards right now, no knock on Bravo. Mexico didn't really have, Borghetti was already aging.
We had freaking Kikin.
I know.
And Franco and
we didn't have anybody. I mean,
and
honestly,
Borg.
In terms of having a true forward, Mexico didn't have it.
Bravo with his like
His
two
name-
left feet at times, man.
Bofo's not a real forward. I mean, he's not. I mean, he's a playmaker. He's an attacking. He's a a deep lying attacker. So is Cuauhtemoc Blanco. But okay, he didn't want to use him. That's fine. But in terms of having like the forwards that what's his name that Osorio had access to, Mexico had better players under Osorio, and one of the things that also helped La Volpe was that that there was also a group of players that had been playing together for a while. With Osorio, that group had been together for a lot. That group had been played for a lot longer.
Definitely no experiments, and you already knew who was going to be, playing. Like you knew your lineup. You knew it was going to be Osvaldo. It was going to be Salcido, Rafa Marquez, like Dorado. You know what I mean? Pardo, Osorio. I mean, that lineup was. We knew who he was going to play with. And Senior, which
yeah,
I will say the amount of naturalizados that have came and went on the national team. Senior is the only one that really I approve of. He actually scored some significant goals for the national team, and he'll always have my respect. But to leave out Cuauhtemoc, I mean, it's criminal.
Yeah, he made some bonehead mistakes, but yeah,
you can't deny what he did.
Yeah.
Oh.
He did come
You
some
know,
good
like I
stuff.
said, I was really mad that he left off Cuauhtemoc. In fact, Joel, do you remember? I forget the guy's name. He was, he wrote for the Houston Chronicle, and he wrote, why La Volpe got it right.
Luis Bueno.
Oh, I remember. I remember Ron wrote.
The
Yeah,
Swan.
he
I,
counted. Yeah, and all the
I,
comments were on Ron's side.
I made the guy feel real small, man. I mean, because everything I said was factual. It was no feelings, nothing. It was just straight up, straight up facts, straight up, just like I said, dude, I annihilated the guy. Didn't even respond back. And normally he would, you know. And it's funny because the responses to me were just like, you know, like they were just like, oh man, you're awesome, blah blah blah, stuff like that. I don't remember the guy's name, but I just,
You wrecked him.
like I said, I that it was complete. What's the ponage? Is that what you would say, Chickies?
Ponage. Ownage. Ownage,
It
man.
was ownage.
You owned him.
Yeah.
That's old school.
Because I remember some of the things that he was saying was that he was not coachable, and I was like, okay, well, and he was talking about, because some of the things that they were saying, I remember was that, in terms of injuries, well, there were also players like Sina and other players, and there was like 3 or 4 other players that were also, nursing injuries. So if you were going to hold Cuauhtemoc back because he was nursing an injury, well, those other 3 players were also nursing injuries. There was he made an argument, I remember, about being uncoachable. Well, I said, well, if that's the case, well, you don't take Javier Borghetti because remember when he denied that he wasn't going to play because he wasn't going to be substituted in. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, is when was it with Pachuca or Cruz Azul in the Libertadores or something like that? It was some tournament. I don't. I think and basically Borghetti denied. He said, "Nope, I'm not going in." And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, show me the time. Show me an instance when Cuauhtemoc Blanco told his coach, "Nope, I'm not going in." You're not going to find it. In terms, and like I remember, he's talking about he was a very hothead and stuff like that. In Cuauhtemoc's career, up until that time, he'd only seen 3 red cards. You know, So it's not. I mean, yeah, he's he talks a lot to he talks a lot of shit. Obviously he has a weird relationship with the officials, but he knew when and how. He knew how and he knew when to shut up. And and I guess for me, and this is one of the reasons why I always thought that Cuauhtemoc Blanco is and has been the best player for Mexico is because obviously at that time I don't remember after the fact, or I never did analyze the stats, was almost a little over 85% of his goals were game altering, meaning what do you call it? He either tied the game or he gave Mexico the lead. Because there's been a lot of goal scorers for Mexico that their tallies, their goals have been when Mexico was already winning, and in sometimes blowouts, like Sagi. I mean, he scored what? How many goals against that Caribbean? What's his name? Was it Bermuda?
He
Saint
scored like what?
Martin, Martinique or something like that.
He scored like 4 or 5 goals.
Goal. It's like 7 goals and stuff like that. So there's a lot of players that have scored those type of goals. And where
Borghetti's man, his goal against Italy is one of the best goals of the World Cup of all time.
yeah, but going back, that's what I was also. I mean, I was going like all the points that he was saying why Cuauhtemoc Blanco did not deserve to be on that team. I countered, and I basically just shut him up. It still pisses me off, dude. But almost 15 years, dude. That
The reason
Guau should have been on that damn team.
Cuauhtemoc Blanco scored a goal and then posed at midfield. That's why he didn't go to the World Cup.
No, it's actually. I mean, that's not it. It's really relationship that they had in America.
They had a lot of beef.
A lot of beef with Cuauhtemoc, with Germán Villa, with Lara, with Mac. It was with a bunch of players and stuff like that. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
And another thing I just saw, Jurgen Klinsmann is, I don't know if he's trying to get into some Liga MX coaching action or what, but
Is that
He was
right?
he was rumored for Cholos like a year ago.
that'd be interesting. The language would be, I don't know how if he speaks Spanish very well, but that could be an issue.
I don't.
I would not mind to see him. I'm surprised he hasn't coached the MLS.
Yeah. Also, Benjamin Galindo. I
Sad,
think,
man.
yeah, I think
Prayers out to him, man. Hopefully he's recovering.
they had a press conference today, I think, at 6 p.m., but I can't find where it says what they said, like how he's doing. It seems he
Oh.
got out of surgery,
He
or,
had a heart attack, right?
He had a
Oh,
stroke.
it was
Oh, it was a stroke.
I'm curious to see if he was here or in Mexico, because he's
he's in Mexico.
He's Matias's assistant coach in San Jose.
Well, he had the
Probably
operation.
Max.
He had the operation in Guadalajara, so
Oh, okay.
he might
he's
have
probably
been.
home then.
Yeah, he might have been at home when it happened, or he had to have been.
Dang.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully he gets all through this. So yeah, dudes, we've been
Well-
an hour and a half. You guys have any other
Yeah.
final thoughts?
Final thoughts? Nah,
Oh.
man. Not. I know. Nope. No. No final
Nor-
thoughts, really.
Normally,
I thought I
normally I
had
would
one.
normally I would tell you guys, guys, I better go because I got things to do in the morning. But I'm lying to you guys.
You got nothing to do in the
I gotta
morning.
I gotta see a client. I gotta see a client. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Bill Min, Firm 65 just got on, and yeah, you can start from the beginning. Firm. And,
Firm?
Firm. It's not
Firm?
not perm. Firm 65. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, thanks you guys. Thanks Joel. Thanks Jaime, Ron. We'll see you guys
Thanks, Rigo.
next week.
Everybody be safe out there. Thank you guys.
Rigo, where you at?
Oh.
Later.